Welcome to the UNC Podcast, where the intent is to provide insightful discussions around spirituality, purpose, and self-improvement. These messages are for everyone out there that can relate and help provide understanding to our purpose. In today's society, it's almost impossible to not have made a mistake, made a bad decision, or have been part of a situation that you wish never happened and that you don't want others to know due to how you think they will view you. In fact, most of us have remained in a continuous cycle of this behavior. The problem is you cannot erase what has happened and you cannot hide from the things that have taken place. Every single experience you have in life is meant for you to learn from. However, too many people just want to distance themselves from their past instead of dealing with it and making it history. The definition of history, a chronological record of significant events, often including an explanation of their causes. So why is history worth understanding? Simply put, it's important to understand history as it provides us factual, experience-based information to learn from so we know how to shape a better future. So think about that, family. If you can understand your history and learn from it, it would allow you to shape a better future for yourself. Your past cannot be purged. Your past was meant to learn from, redefine, and become a foundation of how to build your future life. Distancing yourself from the past alone will not heal you from it. Eventually, you will tire of running from the storm and you will not be equipped to deal with it once it catches up. I've heard people tell me they wanted to escape their family, tell me they wanted to escape physical and mental trauma stemming from a relationship, tell me they wanted to move to a new location just to recreate their life where nobody knows them. People want to start over with a clean slate, and I certainly understand. However, ultimately, what I'm seeing is that people are just running from their feelings of shame and regret. Family, understand that it's hard to regret or feel shameful of something that only involves you. Regret and shame come from interactions with other people and are a result of how you internalize those interactions. There are exceptions, but typically the interactions themselves are not the cause. It's how you felt others perceive you regarding those interactions. And I see people isolate and not interact with others to escape these feelings. And where do I even begin when talking about the avoidance factor in human behavior these days? I've said this on videos before, but everything today can be done behind a screen, which is the reason I make videos, to connect with anyone that has every reason in their mind to remain experiencing life by watching others live instead of doing it themselves. If you're listening to this video and this is you, life is meant to live. Your home is where you reside to rest. Your days and nights are meant to be out in the world building a better foundation for you and the others that are coming behind you. You've got to stop isolating yourself to the social media platforms as a way to fully understand life. There is definitely valid information in many areas of social media. However, most of it is an illusion and is a curated version of life. Even this video will end up edited to its best version with the least number of errors. Social media is a resource, family, so only use it for information and not life experience. Also, when you are out of the house, this is not the time to hide in plain sight, family. Put your device away. Stop acting as if the only way for you to stimulate yourself is through scrolling on your phone about nothing. At minimum, focus on your surroundings and understand who is around you. And if you ever just decided to smile at a random person, more times than not, you will receive a reciprocated smile back. And y'all, that's what we call basic communication. Fellas, sometimes we do the head nod. We know that gets reciprocated back. And I get multiple of those every day as I take my early morning walks. And as a side note, I highly encourage all of you to do the same. Walking is great for heart health. And in the early mornings, it's just a different level of peace in this world for us to experience. And y'all, don't be in denial. You know if you're not moving forward in life, and you know if you've cut yourself off from the world. Moving, running, hiding, isolating, whatever it is you call what you're doing or what you've done, the only way to handle your past is to heal from it. The only way to heal from it is to overcome it. The only way to overcome it is to face it. And to face it, you must talk about it, and you probably will need to talk about it many times over and over again until you don't have an issue talking about it. But damn, it hurts too much and it puts me in a bad place mentally. One day, but nah, I'm not ready, on my terms. Look, you guys, if you're trying to understand why it's so difficult to discuss, it's difficult because it isn't just the past any longer. It is now your trauma. Trauma is a type of psychological wound that can result from any distressing experience that your mind wasn't prepared for and couldn't handle. Trauma many times gets associated with a violent event, and that is just not the truth, as trauma can affect anyone, and this distress typically causes how a person thinks moving forward. For example, Growing up in a single parent household doesn't mean violence, but still very much is trauma since there is distress on the child. Experiencing a deep, embarrassing moment in front of people that matter to you could turn into definite trauma that you never want to experience again. Not understanding how to deal with rejection can lead to trauma and the isolation that follows it. Now, let me tell you about my trauma, which happened shortly after I turned 18 years old. And I truly didn't realize all the trauma it left with me. I didn't know it then, but I definitely understand now. I lost the only man I ever looked up to. This isn't to say others haven't played a positive role in my life, because they have. However, this man took me under his guidance and he wanted me to win. He was teaching me things that boys need to understand before becoming men. This man was of no blood to me. He married my sister and they had 2 sons that were 4 and 1 at the time of his passing. Which makes me unk, right? He was the only man who spent his time working to build me up and was helping me with structure for my life. I only had him for some of my teenage years, which as older men, we understand are the most critical times for us to be focused. I remember thinking for a long time things would have been different if I would have been home to receive his phone call that day, asking me to take a ride with him. What's even crazier is I would have been home, but that particular day, for no apparent reason, at the time, I locked my keys in my car after being out with my girlfriend. And I only know he called because 2 days later, my mom gave me the phone to listen to a voicemail he left for me to call him back so I could take that ride with him that evening. But I hadn't made it home yet. Is it coincidental, without his guidance, that a year later, that same girlfriend was pregnant and in the early phases of becoming the mother of my firstborn? Now, I don't regret any decisions in my life, but I learned later through therapy that I was broken and empty, and I coped by filling myself with other broken women, as it's easier to remove yourself from broken situations. And in my case, I definitely considered it running, because I would run from the bad experience and run into one that would seem better, so I would feel less empty. And it took for me to go through multiple relationships, 3 marriages, 3 divorces, numerous situationships with minimal downtime between each before I knew I needed to heal from me. I had to face all my issues, and I had to admit I didn't know what I was doing, and what I was doing wasn't right, since it wasn't working for me, my kids, or the people I was involved with. Now, this UNC platform is part of the healing process for me, as I now will always face what once was my trauma, as I will continuously talk to the world about it. I'm human, and to grow, we all must avoid being fearful of our vulnerabilities. And this is my way. No person can make another person change, as people only change when the consequences of their behavior outweighs the benefits. If you feel like the consequences in your life are too much today, then it's time for you to start your process of healing. True healing will require talking, self-reflecting, forgiving, and support from others. I know those are multiple steps. However, the good news is you just need to take a small one first. Therapy is a great start, and if you just can't pull that trigger yet, your small step can be email UNC at info@unc.co and get pointed in the right direction. But if for some reason you can't do that, you always have your best option to talk and gain understanding of you. Psalm 116 verse 2, because he turned his ear to me, I will call on him as long as I live. Family, God will always be there to listen when you talk and there to guide you when you listen. Healing is possible, and it will require your courage and effort to experience it. I appreciate you tuning in. Please stay connected with UNC on all social media platforms for updates, behind the scene content, and discussions. I make videos to reinforce what our God wants for us, as my purpose is only here to assist. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot force it to drink. As always, be blessed.